G'day guys, Smith City here for Smith City Product Reviews. Well, I'm here with a sponsored video from my workmate Brad. He's come up with the goods. We've got the Holgate Brewhouse Hopinator coming in at 7.5%, 3 standard drinks in a 500ml can. I'll get it into a glass. I do like the can. So I'll get into a glass and we'll see what this is all about. But thanks a lot, Brad. I much appreciate it. If you want to be a sponsored person on this channel, feel free to send me a beer or a couple of beers to review on this channel, preferably ones I haven't tried, and we'll keep this ball rolling. So it's quite a dark looking IPA. Oh, yeah, I can smell that. So you've got a pretty tight 3-finger head. That head is pretty tight, guys. That might stick around for a while, actually, I think. So we'll have a bit of a sniff. Ooh, citrus. There's a bit of a maltiness going on, pininess going on. This smells exactly like my type of IPA. Anyway, that's enough of the aroma. Now let's get that into my pelican-like mouth. Layers, so bear with me while I pick apart those layers. That maltiness on the back end is terrific. It's almost got like a toffee or like a caramel, like it's like a chewy maltiness going on. After that maltiness finishes, like on the back palate, the citrus notes come at the back end of the back palate. It's pretty easy drinking for, what was it, 7.5. It's pretty easy drinking for a 7.5 beer. This is definitely my style of IPA, but it isn't for everybody. I feel like there's plenty of IPA drinkers that like the easier, when I say easier, sort of more of the East Coast style IPAs that are more like your fruity elements from the hops. Whereas I like it sort of, not that I don't like that style, because I do, but my preference is more skewed towards the other end. So, as you can see, it does have quite a nice mouthfeel to it, which lets those malty tastes sort of linger on the palate. We'll do a bit of a reading, guys. So Reloaded and re-released, the old school IPA brings a massive hop arsenal to create citrus, pine, and spice on a chewy malt backbone. Hasta la vista, baby. It's brewed and canned straight from the gate. Holgate Brew House in Woodend. Funny story, Christmas party last year. Man, my oldest brother Simon booked a room at Holgate, thinking, well, we'll see how the night goes, and we'll probably go back to the room, and before it closes, maybe have a couple of beers there, and then, you know, stay there and sober up and head home. But somehow the night progressed in a really nasty way, with one of the admin ladies buying me tequila shots. And somehow I remember being in the black car. I think because I woke up the next day with the Uber app on my phone. We end up back at one of the work boys' houses, and continued to drink until the sunrise. So yeah, we didn't end up making it to the room in the end, which was a shame, because I actually wanted to try some of their beers, but I'll have to go around next time. I have had a fair few just in my private life before I started doing reviews. I have had a fair few Holgates, and I have liked every one of them so far. Can't remember the one I had, but I was in a stubby, and it was very like coffee, dark roasty toasty sort of beer. I can't remember what it was, but it was a really good drink. So as you can see, guys, the head is still there. It is stuck around through thick and thin. It's an interesting one. I'm not going to give it a 10, so I'm going to have to work my way backwards here. Drinkability is fantastic for a 7%er. Like it is no joke, a very easy drinkable 7.5er, which is hard to do. To be honest, after this, if I had another can and I didn't have to get up early in the morning, and it was like a Friday or a Saturday, and I planned to have a couple of beers, this is one where I could probably have another one straight after, and probably that'll do me. But it's one that I could probably drink another one of, which when you're pushing up of 7.5 or above, to be able to then actually consider having another one means that you've brewed a pretty good beer. Like I said, I like the packaging, and I'm just trying to work out a rating in my head. Just trying to think of some of the other beers I've had, and trying to work my way backwards from there. I haven't reviewed it on the channel, but I sort of look at this, not really compare it to, but similar in the style of IPA is the Colonial IPA in the yellow can, and I'd probably rate that higher than this, and I haven't reviewed it. That's probably my all-time favourite. Just go grab and enjoy. And you probably can sit down with 6 of them and actually drink 6 of them, even though it makes you pretty messy. They're a pretty easy drinking beer. So I'm just trying to think what I would rate that at. And then work my way backwards from there. So probably give this an 8.5. It is really good. I absolutely love that Brad's come to the party and has entered the chat, so to speak, and has come up with 2 beers that he wanted me to review. So I really appreciate that, Brad. And like I said, if anyone out there is interested in being a sponsored video, all you need to do is just slide into my DMs. And if you don't know how to slide into some of my DMs to work that out, just comment on this video, and I can comment back of where you need to go, so we can get in touch of how you can get some beers to me. But this is a really good beer, and there's kind of an element where I think I probably could give it higher than 8.5, but yeah, like I think I'll just settle on that. Like an 8.5 is nothing to sneeze at. Before I go, something interesting happened the other evening. I was out at well, it used to be called Flame Trees, just down the road. It's a burger joint. It's now called FT something. I can't remember what it's called. And it's fairly similar. There's nothing really changed in terms of the layout or anything. They've just sort of rebranded it and remarketed it. But they've refined their food menu a bit. Like there was a plethora of options on their original, and I think they've just dumbed it down a little bit. And I had a Negroni, which is my favourite cocktail, and enjoyed that. Wasn't the best one I had, but it was pretty good. And then afterwards, I thought to myself, oh, I haven't tried this particular beer, so I ordered the juicy banger from Black Man's, which was an IPL. And yeah, I was not a fan. I was not a fan. And this is where, like, of late I've been pumping out some really high numbers, and rating wise I've been pumping out some high numbers. And I don't know whether it was just how I was feeling on that particular night and that particular drink within that evening, or whether if I reviewed it on the channel, whether I'd give it an average, like if I'd give it a below average score. But as I was drinking it, I'm like, if I was reviewing this, I'd probably give it a 5. And that isn't necessarily meaning it's a bad beer. It just doesn't fit my palate. It was a cold evening, and I think the beer is probably more suited towards like a hot day where you slam it down. But even still, it kind of reminded me of that other beer that I reviewed and rated it a 4. It's very similar style beer. It's just something about it I just do not like. So if I can get my hands on one of them, I'd love to review it. Not necessarily to hang shit on Black Man's, because I reviewed one of their beers in one of my unboxings, and I've had many beers from them. I haven't reviewed heaps because I've only think I've done the one. But they do some really good beers, and I think there'll be a lot of people out there that drink beer that would actually like that particular beer. But for whatever reason, I don't know. It's kind of like a dry wine mixed with a beer, and it's just a no from me. Like, starting to sound like my older brother now. I don't know. Like, I don't want my beer to taste like wine. If I want to drink wine, I'll drink wine. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if I can get my hands on one of them, because yeah, ultimately I have been pumping out some high scores, and I don't want to just keep pumping out high scores. I want to just have a big array of reviews where there's all heaps of ratings in between, as opposed to just pumping out 9s and 10s. It's not necessarily be negative, because at the end of the day, like, nothing that I review on here is a case of do not buy it ever, because ultimately it's about the individual. It's about individual palate taste. It's about all that sort of stuff. And so even that one that I reviewed poorly, if you see it, grab it. None of this is like do not buy it. I think probably the only time I will ever say that is probably on a food review, where I have probably a bad experience, and it may not necessarily about the food. It might be about how the customer service was, or whatever, or something like that. But in terms of like a beer and drinking it and me not liking it, it's more of a case of this is what my opinion is. Try it for yourself and compare it. Come onto my comment section, say if you liked it, say if you didn't like it, say if you're indifferent on it, and you go from there. So this is a good beer, guys. It really is. And I waffled on. I didn't want to waffle on, but I waffled on. Pretty good beer by Holgate Brewhouse, and yeah, thanks again, Brad. Just seeing. So yeah, they've got a brew pub, bar, restaurant, tours, and accommodation. I did make it back to that place to them the following day to return the key at a bath. Older brother was just vomiting in the toilet. We just left, and I left the key on a coffee table downstairs, and that was it. So yeah, there it is, guys. Holgate Hopinator. Thanks again, Brad. Cheers, mate.